It is time for the next block of the fireworks finale. Sew along.
It's going to be great. So Audra, take it away. Welcome back to the final video for Firework Finale with Missouri Star Quilt Company. I'm Audra of So Dreamy Studio. My mom has chosen to vacate this video because she's not doing the border. But that being said, I'm actually demoing with her colors as well as my own. So for those of you who are using the fabric pack, you can see how those colors look and you have a nice visual representation of how your project will look. So let's dive in. As we've done previously, we're going to be demoing one block, so you can then duplicate that process from here on out. Walking through what we have here, you'll see here are the two finished blocks I have already created with my scrappy colorway as well as the fabric pack colorway. And then I've got another one here ready to finish in my scrappy colorway. I have the Dresden Fans that we cut per our cutting guide. So if you gathered your materials like we recommended in month 1, if you grab that border bag or month 6A bag or Dresden bag, however you labeled it, you should have all of these fans already cut using the Layer Cake Dresden plate from Missouri Star Quilt Company. I've pre-sewn a couple of these. I'll be demoing that shortly. You're also going to want 3-inch applique squares. I only have a couple cut here, so I can just show them to you when we finish, as well as 3-inch squares of your background fabric and a 9.5-inch square of your background fabric. So from here, let's dive in and get going. The first step is going to be taking your Dresden Fans and folding them in half, right sides together, and sewing across the top. And we'll go ahead and do that with these two remaining ones. One quick note I wanted to make is when I did this block, I switched out the foot on my machine because I know during this process I will be using an applique stitch. Some of you might be hand sewing it down. I consider you heroes and champions. I will be happily stitching this down with an applique stitch. So what I did was I took off my 1/4-inch foot off my machine because if your machine is like mine, I can't do a zigzag stitch with my 1/4-inch foot. So I swapped out right away to my standard foot on my machine so I could easily straight stitch or applique stitch. What I will do from here is then clip with my little rope bowl of stash here. I'm going to clip these corners and we're going to turn these right sides out. And it's kind of fun. You don't realize how they're going to look when they're done, that sewing just a straight line across gets you this really fun shape. And I kind of eyeball how this is going to look when I press it, so it's nice and even on both sides. Okay, so I'm going to push all these out using my fun little turner. Everybody's got their favorite. This one is mine. I also have a Mod Block turner for those of you who remember Mod Block, which is also one of my favorites. You'll see here when I cut this piece, there's a little bit of white showing. I'm not worried about that, and the reason I'm not worried about that is because that will get sucked up into the seam allowance. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of see this one's nice and even. So I'll press that. That one's ready to go. This one I'm going to kind of balance out so it's nice and even. Oops. There we go. Steam it into submission or press it into submission the way you want it, right? From here is the biggest decision you're going to make today, and that is how you want to arrange your colors. So per the cutting guide, you cut a lot of Dresden Fans, but really it's up to you how you're going to arrange them. Because you can see I arranged mine in a variety of ways, and I've kind of started this one. So what I'll do is I'm going to lay this one next to it just so I can have some idea, because I don't really want two reds. It doesn't mean these blocks are actually going to end up next to each other, but I don't want two reds there. So I'm gonna kind of go, oh, no, I don't want that one because that's too close to that one. So maybe that guy, and then maybe that guy. No, I'm gonna do the white because the white's in the middle over there. So I'll do that, and then that, and then that, and then that. And that's gonna be my order. So then from here, I'm just gonna sew all these together down these lines. I like to start at this point because then I know everything's gonna line up when all is said and done. Sometimes things shift on us, and I feel like if I start at the bottom, it could shift and they might not line up. And I'm just gonna keep adding to this. I'm gonna clean up my threads when I'm done. Cleaned up some of them, I lied. Remember also the bottom of this is gonna get hidden. So this bottom right here is gonna get hidden by this little circle that we're about to attach. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to detach it from my machine. That would be important. I'm just going to clean up some of these top threads just so it doesn't show when I'm doing my applique stitch, getting everything stitched down. And then I'm just going to press this. I kind of just start one direction and work my way over. I feel that is the easiest way to do it. And I know if you're using a darker background, you can kind of see your white is showing through a little bit, but this is also where we quilt it out. And I guarantee you, no one will notice. And if they notice, then they're not really your friends. So we're gonna pin this down in place. Okay. And you can see, this isn't lining up perfectly down here. I'm, again, not worried about it because it will get hidden once I put that little circle right there. Okay, so I got some pins in there. And now I'm gonna put a zigzag stitch on my machine. And I am gonna go around that top border and secure this guy down. A little trick I have when I'm doing this is note when your needle is to the left side or the right side of the applique stitch, because you don't want to stop to make the turn when it's on the left side of the applique stitch, because then it's going to come back and be outside of your space and it'll show in your background. And then what I'm going to do when I get to this edge, which I should have done on the other side, but I'm going to correct it now, is inside the seam allowance, I'm just going to do a straight stitch down the edge here to make sure that that is nice and secure on each side. All right, so that is the fans part of your quilt. So from here is where we're gonna do our fun little circles. What I'm gonna do, in your pattern, you're gonna have a quarter circle template for your Dresdens. And you can see I've already taken one of my 3-inch fusible squares and put it on there, and I will demo it here again. You could float it in the center. I personally just drop it in the corner because then that's one cut to make instead of having to go all the way around. And then from here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lay this fusible on top of my background square with right side of my background square on the glue side of my adhesive square. And I'm gonna sew along those lines. Remember to put your machine back to a straight stitch before you do this, so you're not applique stitching. I'm going to do these both at the same time because I'm demoing the scrappy version and the fabric pack version. Okay. And then from here, we are going to trim a 1/4 inch around this curve. I am going to eyeball this a little bit just because it's a curve, and for a good chunk of us can kind of eyeball a 1/4 inch. Yeah, I don't think I did too bad there. Okay. Then what we're going to do, I'll use the dark one so it'll show. So your glue again is towards the right side of your fabric. Now we're going to turn this right side out, smoothing that edge. The most important part here is do not press this yet. Remember, this is your adhesive, so do not press this yet. So you smooth out that corner real nice. This is again where you can use that turning tool, help you smooth that out a little bit. Okay. And then we're going to set it right here in this corner. You can pin it if you like, but we're going to set it in this corner and we're going to fuse it into place. All right, that'll give you that nice finished edge. You can see a little bit of white there, but I promise you that's going to go right away once we get our stitches in there and we get it all put together. I'll repeat that same stuff with the white. I know it might not be as easy to see, but we're going to kind of finger press that corner. Okay, and again, we're going to set that in that corner. Just kind of put it where you want it. Remember, so my stitching was a little funky right there. So I want to make sure that my edge is caught in the seam allowance. So again, I'm going to press this into place. Fuse that there. And then we're going to again applique stitch this down. All right, so that is that. Here are our completed, 2 of our completed Dresden blocks. I will give these to my mom, even though she is not making the border, because knowing her, she could do something fun with them. But this, if you're using the fabric pack, this is what your border will look like. This is my scrappy version with a variety of fabrics. You can kind of see the difference and how fun and different they can look. You are going to be making 8 of these Dresden borders to go across the top and the bottom, so 8 and 8, and then 10 and 10 on each side. And so you will be repeating this process. It'll truly add the firework to your firework finale quilt. For the full border construction, make sure to refer to your pattern. It has all your layouts. It has everything you need to know. But now, if you've stuck with us through the border as well, you have a beautiful queen size firework worthy quilt. We would love to see you post it in the Quilt and Stitch America 250 Facebook group. I'll be posting my progress on my social media at SewDreamy. On Instagram, my mom will be posting hers in the group as well. We hope you enjoyed sewing along with us through this journey. I have learned so much. I hope you have as well. Happy sewing.